Warning. This program contains strong language, auditory violence, and mental nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions. This is Unshackled Fury.
The housing rush is real, and I'm fully on board the hype train. But there is even more in store as we stop along the way. So welcome back for episode 164 of your uncensored home for World of Warcraft news and opinions, Unshackled Fury. I'm your host, Berzerker, and with me once again is the man who keeps this locomotive from running out of steam, Mr. Jez Corden. Welcome back again, good sir.
I'm the man who keeps it delayed in the train station with all my crazy scheduling. But yeah, it's good. It's good to be back, man. Although I think I have a fair reason for missing last week's show. I would think. Maybe.
I say so. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. You have had some time away. Got a little R&R, I think they say. So that's especially nowadays. It's good to get that anytime.
Went under the knife.
Went under the knife.
Yeah. Removed the old gallbladder.
Oh,
I missed the gallbladder.
Who even needs that?
They ripped it out, tossed it in the incinerator. You know, like that, like Nomi the chef in Valorant. Burned that shit. Now it's gone.
Ooh.
Gone forever.
Ooh.
It served me well these many years, but I think I burned it out with all the, I don't know, cheese I eat. I suppose.
What does a gallbladder even do?
Yeah, it bulks out fat, I think, in digestion.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm going to use the whole episode as an excuse to try and improve my health because I ain't a particularly healthy dude. So maybe we can fix that. But hey, it's good to be back. How have you been?
All right. It's a million laughs over here on this side of the Atlantic. There's all kinds of stuff going on day by day. Feels like a new mystery that I may not want to unwrap every morning, but we soldier on and do our best. And I saw, this isn't even on the agenda, I just remember this, but I saw that you apparently leaked a new handheld device, so good job. I saw lots of articles about that. This is an Xbox thing, or this is like a PC thing, or?
It's a collaboration between Asus and Xbox, so it's like, I don't know, I think Xbox has a program called Designed for Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Where like some accessories, controllers, headphones, stuff like that, they get like a special little branding. So I think that's what this is. It's made by Asus, and it's basically the Asus ROG Ally 2. So if you've seen that handheld from last, I think it was 2 years ago now, 2 years old. This is the new one.
Okay.
But there's going to be an Xboxy version that's black with an Xbox button on it. And that's basically it. But yeah, it's a PC gaming handheld otherwise. And it's interesting you brought that up because I think it dovetails nicely into our later discussion about the one button mode for WoW because obviously on these handhelds they're handhelds, so you can't use a mouse and keyboard, but I kind of feel like having the one button mode might make a lot of DPS classes more playable on these kind of devices. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. I also understand that you've been tangling with some Diablo issues.
Yeah, I haven't played Diablo since the expansion came out, and I decided that I was going to play this season
Okay.
Because I reviewed the expansion, and I got really burned out on it because I really hardcored that review.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't be playing this again for a while. So I took a big break, and I come back, and I don't think the game's in a particularly great state. Like
Ooh.
I'm coming out of that glow that I had with playing through, the most recent WoW season, the goblin theme season, all my goblins, and I had a lot of fun going through Galawix's palace and and got his mount on our first ahead of the curve kill. I've never ever in 20 years I haven't gotten a raid boss mount ever.
Nice.
And I got his mount on the first kill. I'm absolutely elated.
Wow.
So coming out of the glow of that to another Blizzard game, and it's like, man, this is just, it's a mess. The game needs a lot of work. So I'm not gonna go off on a rant about that, but it's just kind of crazy the difference between how well WoW's doing and how happy the WoW community in general seems to be.
Yeah.
Compared to how unhappy the Diablo community seems to be. It's like night and day a little bit, but it is what it is. I think the game will get there. It's just gonna take time.
It's these living games, man. It's just ebbs and flows. It'll hopefully come back up if it's shit. If not, well, I'm sure Microsoft will push on. Well, we're gonna do the folks a solid this week because, as you and I discussed before we hit record, we got a double dose for Metal Album of the Week this week, and I dare say, based on what you've told me about the choice that you are bringing this week, we have very different options for the folks. So this one from me, this one might be a surprise, but it is somehow in this upside down, backwards ass timeline that we are in now. It is relevant once again. So from June of 1999, when I graduated from high school, Significant Other by Limp Bizkit.
I love that album.
I knew you would know this one.
It's finally, you've got an album that I know.
I was digging deep, brother. This album, if you were alive and around and of a certain age back then, this fucking thing was everywhere. You could not get away from Limp Bizkit if you tried. You saw Fred Durst, their singer. You saw him on everything, everywhere, inescapable. And being that age at that time, had the album as well, listened to the shit out of it, and it just was kind of one of those moments in time where it perfectly encapsulated sort of the mood and the flavor and the vibe of things. And Fred Durst, who I don't know what he's like these days, other than he looks like Santa, big white beard, and like Limp Bizkit's touring again, and everybody loves seeing them, and the public really turned on them. I know I did. I was like, oh man, fuck, I'm never listening to this again. I just the sort of rap, rock, new metal thing. It was different, and they had a memorable for a lot of reasons performance of Break Stuff, a song that is on this album, at Woodstock 99, where people went ape shit and like tore the place apart. And unfortunately, there were some assaults that happened during this, and that wasn't great.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's, if you ever watch the Woodstock 99 documentary, I think it's on Netflix or one of them. That fucking thing was way worse than anybody knew. But it was wild to see the feed of it. There's all kinds of videos. You can see it on YouTube. Wes Borland, their guitarist, is the guy's like some kind of mad genius. His elaborate sort of wear that he has, especially right now on the tour, he's got this amazing, I don't know, it's like a Central American, South American sort of vibe to it, and it's got like it's almost like a Dia de los Muertos kind of skull with like a mohawk out of feathers, and it's wild shit. But this album, man, it was their second album, and Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water, which came the next year after this, was also a huge #1 album for them too. But this one, I think, really, really put them on the map and really just opened up a lot of things for new metal and for rap metal, whatever you want to call it. But it is metal. The music is metal. Whatever you think of the lyrics, there's a lot of really deep, heavy stuff in there. But Jez, I finally found one for you, buddy. I knew you would know this one. I had a feeling.
I listened to that album to death when I was a kid. It was like them and Korn, man. It was like my sort of metal awakening when I was a kid, and all I'd heard up until then was like Spice Girls and stuff like that. I still dig Spice Girls, man. Spice Girls are lit. But I'd only heard that kind of music, the stuff you're really exposed to on the radio.
Sure.
And then like we got cable for the first time, and I saw MTV for the first time. And there was I don't know if you had this channel in America, maybe you did, but here it was called MTV2.
Yeah.
So all the rock music was on MTV2 here.
Yep.
And that was my first exposure to like Slipknot and Korn and Limp Bizkit. And it was just like mind blowing. Like I've never heard anything like that before. And I was just like, this is me now. This is my life. I'm a metal guy. that's my life now.
Yeah.
Break stuff. Significant Other, sorry, is an absolutely amazing album. They're doing really well. Like you said, they're touring really big venues. I was really shocked. Like, you never really hear about them anymore, but they are still touring really big venues and stuff.
They're opening for Metallica right now.
Yeah, they're still putting out music. Wes Borland put out a solo album recently, I think. So they're doing really well. So good for them.
Yeah. The arc of history is long and strange, and the resurgence, I think a lot of it is on social media, and that's what I've seen is, just them opening for Metallica and the crowds that show up and all the love that they're getting, and seeing Fred Durst as an old man is crazy to me because he still sounds exactly the same, but he's got this big white beard, and at some point he had long white hair. I mean, it's just a long way from the guy with a backwards red cap and like a little soul patch or a little goatee or whatever he used to rock. I think
people just got sick of them, didn't they?
Way sick of them.
Yeah, because like Fred Durst was everywhere, and he was everywhere, kind of being an asshole.
Yep.
So it's like everyone just got super tired of them.
Yep.
But people grow up, right?
People change, especially 25 years later. You were a young guy and probably whatever he was, probably in his 20s, and you're saying and doing wild shit, and you're going on Howard Stern and talking about you were banging Britney Spears and whatever else at the time. I mean, it was wild stuff. But
do you know what it was for me that put me off them? Like, not to go on too hard of a tangent away from Warcraft stuff, but Fred Durst did a performance with Stained, right? And like it was like, I can't remember the lead singer of Stained. I can't remember his name. Aaron Lewis, yeah, that's right. And he was like putting on this really heartfelt solo performance, right? And then Fred Durst was in the background just being like, "Yeah, man, like mic check," like
that's right.
And it was just like, I was like, it doesn't fit, man. It's like, Fred, get out of the way. It's like the guy had a spotlight on him. It was really heartfelt, emotional song, and then Fred was trying to like throw in some like hip hop stuff over the top, and he just I think that was it for me. I was just like, nah, this is not it. But people change and grow up and all that stuff.
They do. So that's my offering this week, Significant Other by Limp Bizkit, going all the way back to '99. But Jez, along your metal journey, you've got a band right now that you've been jamming on. Tell the folks about your pick for the week.
So mine's like slightly more indie and less well known, but I've been obsessed with a band called Faetooth recently. FAETOOTH, like fairy tooth. And they're kind of like, I don't know, sludge, doom. Some people would say stoner metal, kind of.
Yeah.
A bit of shoegaze influence there. It's like relaxing metal. I don't know how to put it. It's not quite post metal.
Ooh.
And it does get really heavy at parts, but it's just sort of like, it's like chill. Like, I suppose like stoner metal is supposed to be, right? So I've been into a lot of that kind of stuff recently, and I just got them songs stuck in my head because the vocalist is absolutely fantastic, haunting clean lyrics, and then like really cutting, vocal screams and all that kind of stuff. Really great band, and if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely check them out. All over Spotify.
What is shoegaze?
You don't know shoegaze?
No.
Oh man, dude. So like, Smashing Pumpkins, right?
Yes, of course.
So people often credit Smashing Pumpkins with sort of starting that genre, but it's like that kind of droney kind of indie kind of music. My Dying Bride? No, not My Dying Bride. My Bloody Valentine.
Yes.
My Bloody Valentine. That's quintessential shoegaze. That's sort of like long, droning, slightly psychedelic guitar riffs. And the reason it's called shoegaze is because when you go to a concert and you dance into it, you just sort of look at your shoes and shuffle from side to side. That's why it's called shoegaze. You're kind of stoned, you're just looking at your shoes and you're gazing at your shoes, right? That's why it's called shoegaze. But it's one of my favorite genres because again, it's kind of lazy, sleepy metal kind of rock music. So Faytooth is like the closest thing to shoegaze metal. If Smashing Pumpkins is shoegaze rock.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah. Or at least some of their albums, at least. Like Siamese Dream, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we're a music podcast now. Shit.
Oh, look at us. I know. 15 minutes in. We'll get to the Warcraft, I promise. All right. Well, there you go, folks. Limp Bizkit and Faytooth. We're running, across the spectrum of metal here to educate metal for the masses. But Jez, I've got a rage topic this week, which concerns the both of us. Probably you more than me, but when it fired up, it got me going. So we got to give it to the people. Let's go. Let's rage. As I've discussed on the show many times before, there's always a battle in the content creator world in the haves and the have-nots. I talk about it as the VIP section, being at the Cristal table versus the Amstel Light and Bud Light tables in the club. Like all of the ways in which we content creators are segregated. And something happened this past week, and we're going to talk about the information that came out of it, but it was announced to us in the club that some members of the VIP club had been given exclusive access and had been invited to a members only hands-on trial and presentation for player housing in World of Warcraft. And lo and behold, some videos came out of interviews and hands-on experience of these creators getting to essentially go through the player housing experience and build their own houses. Now, of course, when this came out, that was news to me because Jez, neither you nor I were ever asked to participate in said thing. And now where I sit, I know I am somewhat of a tourist when it comes to which table I get to sit at. But Jez, you are at the head of the Cristal table. How on God's green earth did you not get an invite to see this thing? How did this happen? Did this shit get lost in the mail?
Oh man. Well, first of all, I had surgery, so I probably would have had to miss it anyway. But I was a bit salty about it, I admit, because I just want to build my house, man. I'm so hyped for this feature. I've been waiting 20 fucking years for this feature, man.
Yeah.
So I was a bit salty I didn't get invited, but apparently it was North American press only for press, and I am listed under press, so it's fair enough. I ain't like entitled or anything, but I was just jealous, man. I was honestly jealous because the feature just looks amazing. It looks so absolutely amazing, and everyone's saying it's better than they ever could have wished for, from the engine, from the amount of work they put into it. And I think this is honestly why we just didn't get it for years, was that Blizzard was like, if we're going to do this, we have to do it properly. And Blizzard was like, we're not in a position to be able to do it properly. And I guess like they were just like, okay, we're in a position where we can do it properly now. For whatever reason, whether they got a bit more money, whether competition from Final Fantasy 14 pushed them over the edge, I don't know. But whatever the reason, we're getting player housing, and I can't wait to play it. But
Yeah,
I'm sorry that I didn't get to play it.
When I saw the lineup here of individuals that got invited to this, I don't care if it's like, first of all, I'm in North America, and I mean, I don't know, I could get on a plane. No, it's a 7-hour drive from my house to the Blizzard campus. Yet I have yet to see a single invite. But I'm looking at this and I go, okay, you got Dratnos. Okay, fine. I love the gnomish beard that he's sporting now. He looks like he probably should be in the game. Then there's Preach, who basically like shit on the game and quit, and then had this thoughtful think piece where he just happened to pay his way to go back to Blizzard, and they just let him do all these interviews because he fucking asked, which is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard, because there's no way he just asked. Of course they set something up with him. That's ridiculous. Then you've got Esfand, who he's all of a sudden like their correspondent over there at Blizzard. Never mind the fact that he's like, I don't know, all in the collective sphere of right-wing darling Asmongold, and yet I don't know, I guess none of that shit matters when it comes to association. Then you got So Breezy. Okay, fine, let's So Breezy in there. That's no problem. But I just look at this fucking lineup here and I go, where is Jez? Like, come on, that's just ridiculous, unbelievable. But be that as it may, we did get a lot of good information about this. So
We did.
Now that I've got that off my chest, let's get into our news. They better invite you next time. That's all I gotta say. I better see Jez Corden, Windows Central. I mean, Christ's sake. I know I ended the segment and I'm still going. You interviewed Johanna Ferries. Like, come on, get the man some player housing. Jesus. All right. Well, we did get a whole bunch of stuff. And there will be more, I'm sure. And they'll show our man some love. We saw an incredible amount of information, a video package that they put together, some hands-on pictures and videos from the content creators that were invited to this. And the more that they show this, every time there's something new, whether it's a blog post or a video or whatever it is, I'll use the word gobsmacked to describe how I feel watching all of this stuff getting rolled out and unleashed upon us, because it is truly overwhelming to see. This isn't like, I think because I have no familiarity with how any of this works in any other game, I don't really know what to expect. So I have no expectations. So I kind of just have to come up with them on my own. And so I'm thinking, okay, it's like my garrison, like my main hall in my garrison. And I'd be able to, I don't know, put some chairs out and put out a rug that ties the room together, and maybe some, I don't know, bedroom attire and some other thing, like little accoutrement here and there. But it's truly astounding to see what they're putting out there, and these videos and interviews that they did highlight how, when they say that this is something that they expect to continue to develop over the next, decades, couple of decades, 20 years, I believe it. Because
did they actually say that? Couple of decades?
They've said that, yes.
Damn.
And I believe it, because the level of detail that they are putting into this, the options, the availability, the freedom of creation that they're unleashing here it's just staggering. And watching these videos of, okay, it's not just one room or one floor of a house. There are apparently at this point a potential of up to 3 floors and 10 rooms in whatever this house is going to look like. And the options for the decorations and the floor and the ceiling and the walls and all the little bits and bobs, it's damn near everything. It's pretty much anything that's going to be new, it seems like. When they talk about items, the older items are a little bit tougher because some of them don't have like all of their shapes and sides because they were never intended to be used anywhere else than wherever they are out in the world. So like crates that have no bottoms and stuff like that. But all of the stuff that's new or things going forward, all of these are going to be items that will be somehow purchasable or makeable in some way that we'll be able to put in the world. They showed it was Alliance stuff. Sorry, Jez. But they showed like, you know, how there's sort of this Alliance Elwyn base, you know, template, and then there's also, oh, look at this, there's Blood Elf stuff. Oh, there's some Horde stuff. So, you know, like a whole Blood Elf scheme, right? And then there was some Night Elf scheme out there, and so you can see that there are like these base templates that they're working off of, but then the customization within it, it's bafflingly large. And on one hand, I can see where it's going to be overwhelming, but on the other, this is like if you have that strain of ADHD, which I think a lot of us do, where you can like hyper focus on some shit for like a long period of time. This thing is just going to be like, in the old days, they used to talk about Warcraft widows, where people, you know, would lose their spouses because of raiding. Now you're going to get this because of player housing, because it is just going to take over people's lives. And there's going to be YouTube videos and guides. You're probably going to have like structural engineers coming in and giving their guidance on like how to build a better floor or a staircase or a stairwell, or, you know, how to make secret bookcases, or how to make puzzles, or how to build a kitchen, or how to think about your space. And like it's unbelievable. I said for years I didn't give a shit about any of this and I could move on about my day, never having had player housing. But now that they've teased us with it, Jez, I don't know how I ever thought that before, because I guess I just didn't know. But what they are showing us is massive. Like, this has taken, like, I know that they've said in some of these interviews, like, they've been working on this for basically 10 or 15 years and slowly like trying to figure out like how's the best way to do this. And you can tell, because this is not some shit that they just started like 6 months ago. This is a long-standing, long-developed feature that is going to be such an integral part of this game. It may be, and this is me saying this may be the single greatest feature that they have or ever will add to the game.
I completely agree. It's another layer to engage with the game beyond simply spamming raids or spamming PvE, because I think one of the coolest things about WoW is that you can just, at least back in the day, it was like people lived in the game. Remember people idling in Ironforge and stuff like back then, and but that was back when there wasn't that much to do, not much PvE to do, but people socialize in the game. But like social networks have kind of taken that away now. But like for millions of people who maybe they just want to enjoy the game for its non-PvE stuff, you know, like an Animal Crossing player or someone like that, I think this just has absolutely vast potential. Also for people who are crafters and who want to get really into crafting stuff for these systems. I think there's like just endless potential here. Just endless potential. I'm really, really excited for where this could go. Yeah, it's unbelievable, and to try to summarize any of this is a little bit of a fool's errand. But some of the major things that I pulled out of this is, one, they're still being a bit cagey about how neighborhoods are going to work. They're talking a lot about individual houses, but less so at the moment about neighborhoods. So there's a lot more information about those to come. Although one of my key questions has been answered, which is that there are two types of neighborhoods that they've talked about, which is one being public and the other being private, like a guild type situation. And in a public one, how they're going to work this is that you can have any plot that you want within the neighborhood, but within a private one, like a guild type one,
those ones you're going to have to, you know, talk to your people and figure out where exactly you're going to go. They've also mentioned that these are going to be the size, like zone-sized neighborhoods. Like this isn't going to be just like on a cliffside somewhere. Like this is going to be a zone-sized neighborhood where you're going to instance into the neighborhood and then instance into the house. So it's going to be a double instance to get into your place.
See, it kind of worries me a little bit because I'm kind of sitting here thinking, well, if they've dedicated this many resources to that, does that mean we're not going to get as many resources on the PvE end? Are we going to get less dungeons? Are we going to get less leveling zone, less leveling experience in general for the next expansion? Because we know it's in Kel for last, right? So, like, how much of the northern kingdoms, the northern end of the eastern kingdoms, are we going to get? Are we just going to get, you know, east and western plague lands, Tirisfal, and then whatever? Or are we going to get, like, everything down to the Thandal span? You know, are we going to get Arathi Highlands? Because, you know, the Arathi are pretty big in the storyline right now. So you would have thought Arathi Highlands would at least be part of that revamped area. But, I don't know. Maybe they've just been, like, you know, investing slowly over time, rather than just being like, well, we've got to make a trade-off here, and it means there's going to be less on the PvE end. Because we usually get at the start of expansion a ton of PvE content, something like 10 dungeons, a raid, and this time I suppose there'll be an expectation of like however many delves, you know, more new delves, and then leveling zones, and then leveling storyline with cutscenes and all that kind of stuff. All this stuff has expenses tied to it because, you know, California game development's not cheap. You know, you live out there. It's not cheap living in California. So the salaries often reflect that, you know. So I'm interested into how it impacts the balance of how much, you know, we get in terms of features, I suppose. But I don't know. I think it is important that this is pivotal because I think this could bring in so many new users who don't necessarily want to slay the big dragons. Maybe they just want to live and roleplay and you know, have those kind of experiences. Because there are so many games that have tried to do stuff like this. You know, you've got Animal Crossing, but it's very single player. You know, you can connect to other people's islands, but it's still very single player. And then there's games like Second Life, where it's like, yeah, you can build a house and you can socialize with random people online, but it's like, it's janky as fuck. It's so janky, it's so unpolished, and it's so buggy, and it's just kind of lame. So this has a real opportunity to deliver like an MMO house building system that is like truly polished, doesn't have the restrictions that Final Fantasy XIV has. Because Final Fantasy XIV is just like, it doesn't let... Final Fantasy XIV is great, but you can't participate without winning a lottery. That is the big issue with that whole system.
Crazy.
And I think, because, you know, dedicated servers are expensive. But luckily, Blizzard's now part of the company that makes dedicated servers as their bread and butter, which is Microsoft.
Yeah.
And they have like infinitely scaling dedicated servers which spin up and spin down dynamically based on demand. And it's sort of like, I don't know, just a generally more... it's going to be more affordable for them to scale up something like this than it would be for Square Enix. They'd have to like work with Amazon or someone else to deliver this kind of system. So, I think this could be game changing for WoW. Absolutely game changing. I can't wait to see it executed.
Yeah, and I think I don't have as much of a concern about the trade-offs in terms of what's being sacrificed for this feature, because they've already been working on this, it seems like, for quite a while. And given kind of how at least the majority of this expansion rollout has been, it's been pretty good. So I'm not as worried, but again, they're always a little cagey about, you know, timelines and where things are. But you know, one of the things they talked about too is that the tools that they're going to give us are unlike anything we've seen before. And I think that that's part of why I'm so surprised at how this is turning out, is you're essentially being given tools to manipulate all of these objects within the game space. So you'll be able to take like one of the examples they use a lot are like beams on the ceiling. You can put them in any direction you want. You could have them floating in the middle of the air. You can make it look like they have steps going somewhere. You can make it look like there's support columns somewhere because there's no collision issues. You can, make them big or make them smaller. You can use them for all kinds of purposes. And that sort of tool set is completely new for us. And that's something that we're all going to have to learn how to use if we want to like maximize this feature to its fullest extent, which I'm sure a lot of us will. And I doubt we'll have that big of a problem with it. And there'll be somebody that has a gigantic chair somewhere and it's going to be hilarious because that'll be the only thing they have in there. And, you'll have, all kinds of crazy mazes that people want to build. And they were talking about in some of these videos having like jumping puzzles that they want to make for themselves in their house. And it's just so different in terms of what you'll be allowed to do as kind of like your own you're like a little developer in your own sort of way, being able to build this space. It's mad. And even further than that, one of the comments I saw was that we talked about how the inside will not match the outside. So you can make the inside whatever you want it to look like. The outside's going to look however it's going to look. They don't marry to each other. And they said, for instance, like one of the like inside floors or rooms can be up to 600 to 800 yards long. That's massive. It's ridiculously huge. And what are you going to do with that? Well, I know going back to, and everybody can use this idea for free if you want. Thinking about how all this stuff works together and just seeing some of these examples that we've been given, I already know one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to build like, sort of like if you think about the portal room, I know the one I use is in Stormwind. I want to make like an alcove, like one floor or one big room in mine that's like every alcove is its own homage to each expansion that I've played through, and I'll have like an armor set there that was my favorite, and then like maybe little items that I got from there. Hell, they're showing these little art pieces that you can hang on the wall. Maybe we get to make our own customizable art. I could see where that might be a problem at some point, depending on what people import, but who knows? Maybe I can put up a picture of Illidan in one and a Lich King in another, and like here's all the baddies that we did. Like your mind just it just boggles the mind. It's what you could be doing with this. Do you at this point have a sense of what like your biggest goal is with your player house? Like, is there something that you want to build or like a vibe that you want it to have?
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, there's so much that I want to explore this stuff. Part of me is just like, I want to, show off all the stuff that I've collected over the past 20 years. I'm really curious if it will actually remember everything that I've earned, to be honest. Because it's like, I've earned a lot of stuff. I've earned a lot of stuff in my time playing WoW.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, will it actually know everything? Will it have everything that I've earned? So I suppose like there's that aspect to it. But yeah, I need to get my hands on the tools, and I am the kind of person who will literally let this take over my life.
I believe it. I can see myself coming up after everybody goes to bed and tinkering with this till like 1 a.m. Just be like, oh, I gotta get that one room right, or I'm gonna, instead of actually working on my real house that has like real things that I need to fix or build or do, I'll be working on my online house and be like, oh, today I'm gonna work on the kitchen. When in fact I need to go to my actual kitchen and finish working on a project in there that I haven't finished since we moved into the house 8 years ago.
That's brilliant.
That's what we're gonna be doing. So yeah, I doubted this for the longest time. I poo-pooed it. I didn't get it, but the more that they roll out for this, the only concern I have at this point really is how the neighborhoods are going to work and like what that looks like, and how the community itself was going to police itself, or I know Rommel had a great question last time about if the guy next to me lets his yard go to hell, like how am I going to feel about that? Well, I don't know. What if somebody wants to put a, Christmas tree up in July? Am I going to feel good about that? Like, I don't know. Am I going to give a shit? I don't know about that either. How are we going to police ourselves? It's a little bit of a question, because once you get your place, it's your place forever.
For life.
Forever. For life. Like, you're going to have a house longer than you're going to have a guild. You're going to have marriages that don't last as long as your player house. For some people, this might be the only house you can afford. And this is it. This is the jam. So you might feel some way when somebody does something across the street. Or like me, I just avoid all my neighbors, both in game and out of game. I'm sure will be true. But if folks, if you haven't seen it, there's several videos out there now. I know World of Warcraft put their own posts, and it's all out there. But I was, Jez, before we even recorded, while you were finishing up what you were doing, I was watching one of the videos again, and just you get that hype. You feel that hype. You feel that like excitement, and man,
so good.
It's ridiculous. Well, that is coming eventually. Player housing is expected to be here, probably for the midnight pre-patch. So based on what we're seeing, it's going to be pretty close to ready. I do have a little bit of a concern that it might, mess with some of the older computers, depending on how many resources it needs. Yeah, looking good.
Very
so we also had recently a preview for patch 11.1.7. They're calling it the Legacy of Arathor. And Jez, you mentioned just a few minutes ago about the importance of Arathi Highlands and sort of the Arathi in general, and the role that they've played in the story so far. And it looks like we're going to be going back to Arathi Highlands in 11.1.7. There's going to be a campaign running through there. And Jez, the thing that you and I truly love, and the thing that I think we do stand apart from some others about our continued advocacy for, looks like faction conflict is back.
Oh, really?
Yes. As the description here is, tensions are rising between the Horde and Alliance, and we're going to attempt to quell the rising tides of hostility in a multi-quest campaign. So I don't know what's going on out there, but doesn't sound like it's good. There'll be some rewards, obviously, tabards, and there's going to be a cool shoulder transmog, they say here, that's inspired by Farron Lothar's pauldrons, those ones that like light, get the fire on them. So that's kind of neat. So we'll be heading back out that way. There's going to be a new lore walking feature, which will allow you to sort of revisit some classic storylines of the past. 3 that they mentioned here that come with repeatable quest chains. One is about going to meeting the Ethereals, and you'll travel to Netherstorm to fight Demencius. Jez, we talked about this fight and about Demencius in the past. You'll get to another one is experience Zalatath's storyline, and you'll learn more about everybody's favorite Naifu. And then, of course, the one that I will do probably 1,000 times because I'm such a mark for it is you'll be able to face Arthas once again. You'll return to Stratholme for what they say is a condensed version of the culling before you get to face off against the Lich King again, I assume, somewhere up in Icecrown Citadel. So I know we talk about the sort of the new player experience from time to time, and maybe some people missed some things, so this is a chance for them to see some important stuff. But it's interesting, Jez, that they're picking that Demencius fight as one of the options to revisit.
Yeah, it's pretty clear Demencius is going to be a thing, I think.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big tell to me. That
big tell.
You were on the right path when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
A new feature they're also adding are what they're calling overcharged delves, where essentially delves are getting affixes. And
I like that idea.
Yeah, I do too. And the homie Rommel, I know he as number one fan of Unshackled Fury, is listening to this intently. We will absolutely be running those, brother. We will. There are only going to be 6, I think, delves that are going to be doing this. Kriegval's Rest, Skittering Breach, the Spiral Weave, Nightfall Sanctum, Fungal Folly, and Side Street Sluice. And so there's going to be some new stuff there. Other rewards that they mention are there's going to be some sort of upgradable belt. They're calling it the Titan Disc Belt. So this seems like, another one of these progression things that we're going to be
cross-season belt. Yeah.
Yeah, this is this season's fashion wear that we need to get to. The overcharged mech suit will be a new mount that's going to be available in this little sub patch, and I did see it. That thing is rad as shit. So I'll probably be working on that.
It sounds like there's a good amount of content on the way.
There's a lot coming, and we're not even done. So we got the greedy emissaries returning, and we're going to have some new rewards if you see them around Stormwind, Orgrimmar, Dornogal, and Undermine. And you'll be able to see some recolors of tier 2 armor sets, of which I am very excited. Those actually look nice because the recolor of the warrior one finally makes that tier 2 warrior set look nice and not fucking ridiculous.
My brother said exactly the same thing. He said exactly the same thing.
It's so cool. I like this one. And the paladin one, the most famous one that everybody likes, the red tint that they're putting on this one is also pretty fucking rad. So congratulations to the paladins once again. Turbulent Timeways are returning once again. If you recall, we've had those in the past, so they'll be back. But Jez, I'm bearing the lead on this entire little mini patch, sub patch. I can't even call this a mini patch. Like you said, this is a lot of content for one like sub patch of a sub patch, because now we've got 11.15 and 11.17 before we even get to 11.2. And by they I mean Blizzard, World of Warcraft developer team, they are also adding something for player housing, where player housing might be the most revolutionary and the greatest thing they had of all time. Potentially the second, at least for me. Jez, they are going to add a single button rotation assistant. Where, as you mentioned at the top of the show, maybe this has something to do with the future of the game and places where you might be able to play it. I know it's being sort of pitched as hey, it'll help you learn a new rotation for something that you've never played, and it'll show you and tell you, like, what should you do next? What's the priority here? But as somebody, and I'm going to make a major announcement, confession here, as somebody who, 18 years in, is still a clicker and never keybound jack shit, this could be a game changer, especially for dipshits like me, who just never could get that style of play down. And I know that there's people that probably hate this, but just I think this is one of the greatest things that they will ever add. I love it.
I absolutely need to teach you how to use a keyboard, man. It will change your life. I swear to God.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. You'll be like, I can't believe I played the game for this long without using a keyboard. But that's the thing, though. Like, I'm sure someone, when at an event, someone told me, like, I can't remember the exact percentage, but it was something like 30 to 40% of people do click their abilities. It's kind of, it kind of makes sense because the buttons look like buttons that you click on the UI, right? Yeah. When I first started playing, I raided Naxxramas while clicking as a healer.
Yeah.
So I used to click on the person on the raid frames and then click on Holy Word rank 4, wherever it was that people used back then. But it was like, yeah, even I did it, and I think half my raid was clicking back then. But so this new feature is basically the game will send you exactly what ability you're supposed to use next, based on what procs you've got, what resources you've got, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
And like you say, it has been touted as an accessibility thing, but I think what this really is about is lowering or increasing the skill floor? I think it's about increasing the skill floor, because at the end of the day, like, the game is balanced around, especially like once you get into, I would say, anything, especially if you're a healer or a tank, I would say, anything beyond like Mythic Plus maybe 3 or 4, it becomes difficult to keep progressing while clicking, because having a keyboard is having like 1, 2, 3, 4 keybound, and then I use Q and E and R and F, and then I use Shift 1, 2, 3, 4 and Control 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've also got a mouse with 2 extra buttons on it, which I also Control click and Shift click those as well. As a warlock, basically a demonology warlock's a bit like playing a musical instrument, you know. Especially when you factor in things like, oh, I'm going to throw out a soul stone on the sky.
That's a great way to put that. That's a great way to put that, yeah.
It really is like playing a musical instrument. And I really felt that way when I switched to... I tried it because I played demonology mostly, but I played Affliction a good amount this season because I wanted to change it up a bit. And also, like, demonology had a few patches where it was just not as good as Affliction for some single target bosses and stuff. So I had to learn Affliction, and it was like a bit like learning a new musical instrument, because all my keybinds were slightly different. The damage rotation was different. It took a good like couple of weeks before I was comfortable and got the damage rotation into my muscle memory. But if you're someone who plays casually and, you know, you want to play PV, but you play casually, or, you know, you don't want to get into researching too heavily, you know, damage rotations or min-maxing and all that kind of stuff. This system will essentially let people experience the game in its entirety within the game. Because I think WoW, for the longest time, WoW has been designed around people who use WoWhead, people who use Icy Veins, people who use Maxroll, or any of these other min-maxing kind of websites. Or, you know, I was showing my brother how to use Raidbots the other day, which is like, do you know raidbots.com? It like, sort of, you put your shit in it, and it sort of spits out what kind of gear is optimal if you run a simulation on it and stuff.
Like on a patchwork fight style type thing.
Yeah. It's like no other games really that I know of really expect people to do that. But but WoW is balanced around it, because that's how hardcore people play at the high end. Yeah. But the high end is not really a path to grow in the game. It's really not, you know, like, especially with the amount of sort of the modern audience for the game like this, especially people who are nostalgic with it. They're older gamers now. They're slower. You know, I definitely feel like slower than I was in my 20s. You know, playing games like Call of Duty or shit like that. And like, even I, like, sometimes I'm playing WoW and raiding, and I'll get clipped by an AoE or something, and just be like, man, I wouldn't have been clipped by that 10, 20 years ago. But all these kind of features, it's not just about accessibility. It's also about, like, helping people who are getting older, people who've got kids now, people who want to play the game but not take it too seriously. So, and the trade-off is that it does it essentially lowers your haste by 25%, because it adds like a 25% speed debuff on the global cooldown. So it's not like people who play with a keyboard shouldn't lose out to someone who's using this feature. But people who click, or people who don't really know their damage rotation very well, they should see a significant speed boost from this, a damage boost, sorry, which will help them learn the game, get into raids more, and maybe get more into playing it in a min-max kind of hobbyistic kind of way. So I just see it as like, I've seen some people moan about it, like, oh, they're making the game easy or whatever. It's like, well, you know, if your damage is good enough already, you shouldn't get beaten by someone who's using this feature when they've got a 25% speed penalty on the global cooldown.
Right. So
if you're losing to someone using this feature, then they need to get good anyway. But but it should bring in more. It should bring in more people into that high end, because I know a lot of high end guilds, even mid tier guilds like mine, raiding heroic. It's not easy to recruit people, because nobody. It feels like getting to that level is really hard. So I kind of see it as a way to learn the game. I see it as a way to increase the amount of users who get into heroic raiding, who do start to feel about it like more like a hobby. And then also, potentially, play it more easily on controller, a handheld, expand the game out to consoles, and grow the audience that way. And also, like, help people, like, reduce the likelihood that you'll end up in a group with someone who isn't doing very good DPS and essentially might brick your key. Because I've had that happen too, where, you know, you end up doing a high key and there's just someone there who either they're slacking off or they're not playing properly or they just don't know how to play for whatever reason. And it's not necessarily their fault for whatever reason, but it will still brick the key because they're not putting the DPS out, right?
Yeah.
So I just see it as a good thing. But I have seen people moan about it, but people moan about everything these days, right?
Truly. I mean, all joking aside, like, I look at this as an opportunity for playing things that I had never played before. Like, I have primarily stuck to just a couple of classes and really only one that I truly play consistently. And a lot of it is because I know that, like, when it's time for me to level my Death Knight or my Paladin, the other two, you know, outside of my Warrior that I like to play, I'm going to have to go and I have to research and I have to look and say, okay, what's the rotation? What's the this? What's the that? And it requires that kind of a time sink. Like you said, I got to go to Wowhead. I got to go to here. I got to go to there to learn how to do all this, or else I'm just going to, you know, not have fun and it's going to suck and I'm going to get my ass kicked. And to instead have something from the game. And I always complain about, like, I shouldn't have to go to Wowhead to do shit in this game, to be able to learn what I need to learn from the game in a way that is obvious even. Like, that's such a welcome change. And yeah, if I can just hit, you know, start clicking, I can just hit one thing on my keyboard, then who knows? Possibilities are endless for people like me. So I thought that was a huge announcement coming out of this patch. And yeah, we'll see how it works. I'm sure there's going to be multiple iterations of this. It'll be something they're constantly tinkering with. They've mentioned that, you know, single target AoE, they want the system to be reactive to, you know, whatever it is that you want to be doing. Yeah, it's big. I think that's a big announcement. Coupled with the other sort of big thing that is coming out of this patch is there was another interview that Ian Hazakostas did recently where they essentially, Blizzard and the Warcraft team, have announced that they have a goal, in a way, of incorporating as many current add-ons as they can into the base game that they believe the community is overwhelmingly having to go out and get in order to participate in high-level raiding or dungeon running or whatever it is. And, you know, damage meters being the one they, you know, the site is, you know, this is the one that overwhelmingly is used by people. And yeah, both for ego and for purpose, I'm sure. But for them to essentially say that they're going to try to incorporate all of these things in so you no longer have to, again, go out and get add-ons for things, to me, that signals a huge shift in philosophy in terms of the presentation of this game. They're going to add a damage meter? They want to incorporate a damage meter.
See, I think that's, especially the damage meter, is particularly amazing because it is an ego thing to some degree, but it's also fun when you do really well. Like, I did 1 billion damage on Galliwix, and I was the top DPS in my guild for that run. And then I got the mount. Yeah, it's true. I did 1 billion
crazy.
Damage. And I got the, I don't think I've ever broke 1 billion damage before. Obviously the numbers are arbitrary because the numbers change season over season, right? But it was just a fun milestone to hit 1 billion damage. And then also I got the mount. I got the mount drop, and it was ahead of the curve kill. And it just felt amazing, you know, to know that I'd contributed so much to the kill. Like,
yeah.
Conversely, it can suck if you die and then you see yourself at the bottom of the damage meter. And and if you like look on World of Logs and you haven't passed, you know, against other people with the similar gear, you know, it kind of it informs you that maybe there's something wrong with your gear, maybe there's something wrong with your rotation.
Sure.
And then you can look at another website and it's like, oh, you didn't like one thing I wasn't doing. I wasn't using I can't remember what the ability's called now. I wasn't using Power Siphon enough, so I was kind of sitting on that too much, and not using it enough. And then I looked at like one of these websites which analyzes your World of Logs passes, and it's like, oh yeah, you didn't use Power Siphon enough. So, oh, okay, well, I upped my Power Siphon usage, and then, you know, got a DPS boost. So there's an ego thing, there is a function thing, and it's one of the things that I hated about Final Fantasy 14 when I was playing that. It's just like I have no idea if I'm doing I have no idea if I'm doing well. You know, I have no idea if I'm doing well. But I also think it makes it harder for Blizzard to balance the game when people don't know if they're doing enough damage. Because in Final Fantasy 14, you have to balance the game around people potentially doing crappy damage, which means that the hardcore or the more... It means that, like, the experience of challenge is potentially diminished to some degree, I think, when nobody knows how much damage they're doing and people aren't being held accountable. Like maybe someone's slacking off, like literally just farming the raid while AFK, you know.
Yeah.
So I think there's that aspect to it as well. But my conspiracy theory on top of that is that they couldn't get the damage hooks right for the augmentation spec. So like one of the big issues with augmentation is that you can't see your performance on the damage meter because the system doesn't that when you're boosting other people's damage, it doesn't link that damage to your character. So augmentation players always end up at the bottom of the damage meter, you know, unfairly. So even if they've increased the damage of the raid overall. And part of me wonders, like, is that because to make API calls for that would be too heavy-handed or something? So, like, maybe it's better to do it natively? Because that's one thing I hope that if they do a native damage meter, that they can double down on these support specs, because I really love the idea of that spec, which is like, you know, a bard or something like that. I think WoW lacks that. So I think that could be good for that reason as well. It frees the game a bit. If Blizzard brings some of those features in-house, it gives them the ability to experiment more rather than rely on what the community's doing with regards to mods and things like that. So, yeah, I do think this is a good thing overall.
I tie this back to what we've already talked about a few times, which is if you're going to bring this game to consoles, there's no add-ons that you're jamming on that the way we do on PC. But if you make all this stuff native and try to put everybody on the same playing field, that's a different story. And so, yeah, I was very surprised to see that, and part of it too is that, and Ian talks about this in the interview, is that I don't know how I would have done as a raid leader or as a raider any of the stuff that we used to do, or I used to do as part of a raid team, without DBM or one of these other things telling me, okay, this thing's coming up, watch these bars, and give you an idea of like what to expect and what's coming up, and you know when to move and know how to do these things. Without any of that, I don't know. I don't know how we do any of this stuff. You might be able to escape some of the major things, but if it's so difficult without all of that. And so there's a recognition, seemingly, that if we want to go to a world where there are no add-ons of a performance type, then we're going to have to engineer our raids and our boss fights and those kinds of challenges in a different way, because
make them simpler, essentially.
Essentially,
because like a lot of those, like, because there's like almost a complexity creep with add-ons that have gotten more significant over time, and I really think like weak auras has pushed Blizzard over the edge with this, because weak auras is like such a powerful platform for adding UI elements that, like, you know, pretty much the game ended up being designed around having these weak auras, and then there was this. People started making weak auras for boss mechanics that were very, very powerful. And then it almost becomes like an arms race where Blizzard's like, okay, well, weak auras is now making this mechanic that much easier. We want to maintain the difficulty and keep the engagement with the hardcore. We've got to make the game that much more difficult to offset the amount of, you know, the extra bits of easiness that weak auras has introduced there. So it was like an arms race, I suppose. Yeah. And this is sort of getting rid of the arms race to some degree, where it's like, well, kind of like how it was in vanilla. It really cracks me up, man, when I see like WoW Classic people and they're like, oh, vanilla's so much easier than retail. I'm like, bro, you haven't played fucking retail. Like the bosses back then had like 2 mechanics, you know, 2 mechanics and that was it, because the add-ons weren't as sophisticated. You didn't really need add-ons. Right. Yeah. Like Ragnaros, like now, is like a joke. I could do Ragnaros while I was asleep. I remember when I was a kid thinking Ragnaros was hard as fuck. Yeah. But now I'm thinking like I could do Ragnaros with my eyes closed, like literally. And that's not bragging about my skill. That's just saying like that's how easy it is and how much harder retail has become. Yeah. Because of these add-ons. So especially if you're going to bring this shit to console, you can't obviously. I think there are rumors that the next Xbox will be more PC-like, but like if you're bringing this to PlayStation, you're not going to have add-ons. You're not going to be able to have add-ons because you can't do anything with the PlayStation like with regards to side loading. At least the Xbox has like gives you some access to the file system, but PlayStation doesn't give you any really. So if you want to bring this to Nintendo Switch as well or whatever platform, you kind of need to rein in some of these requirements to have an add-on. Because I Gallywix, like the amount of shit going on in that fight and the amount of the way mechanics can randomly overlap sometimes. Yeah. Or like one of his canisters spawns in an AoE, like it is nightmarish. It's like and that's like with the add-ons. And with my raid leader, who's very, very good at calling things out, we really struggled with that fight as a guild. Like, I think we killed Gallywix 3 times or something, and before we finished raiding for the season. I think that's the least we've ever killed a raid boss in a long time. You know, before ending the season. So, yeah, it's But execution is key. They've got to be good replacements, because if they're not good, people won't use them, and people will still go back to the other things. Like the current replacement for the weak auras, the ability tracking stuff. That's just nowhere near as good as weak auras right now. So like I just wouldn't use it. So they actually have to be good. But it sounds like they've acknowledged that this is going to be a journey rather than a quick fix. Yeah. Yeah, there is no illusion, I think, that they're just going to flip a switch in a month and be like, we're good. So, the last sort of question, because, again, you sort of have a good beat on these kinds of things. Do you think, it may sound kind of like an odd question, but do you think that this is fair to the individuals that developed those add-ons for so many years and reaped benefits from that in some way? Do you think that this is kind of fucking them over a little bit by taking that work and just incorporating it in the game, being like, it was a good idea, thanks? Well, to be fair, they've done this for years, first of all. And I think if you're an add-on developer for World of Warcraft, you're not really, I don't think they get paid. I don't know if CurseForge or whatever gives them a cut of ad revenue or something like that. Maybe they do get a little bit. And obviously they've got donation pages set up. But I really think, like, if you were making an add-on for WoW and expected to make a living on it, it's kind of like you should have known that this is kind of comes with the territory, right? But there's other add-ons you can make, which I can't see WoW ever incorporating. For example, I use a RP add-on, Total RP, which lets you add like a little profile to your character, right? For roleplay and stuff. I don't really roleplay, but it's fun to have if you're on a roleplaying server, right? I can't see Blizzard ever adding that to the UI.
No, probably not.
I can't see them ever doing that.
They said the cosmetic stuff will not change. Like that stuff will stay. Those kinds of add-ons will stay the same.
There you go. So I figure like there could be an opportunity there where it's like Blizzard lets those creators move on to cosmetic stuff maybe. I mean, there's a lot of cosmetic add-ons that are really helpful, like being able to see what the next affixes are for Mythic Plus. There's an add-on for that. Raider IO obviously is pretty useful. Which is essentially cosmetic. You just see the Raider IO score on people's profiles. So I think there's still going to be opportunity with that, but yeah, I would have thought that they'd know this was probably going to happen. I think WeakAuras really pushed it over the edge. They went, some of the WeakAuras that came out for like skipping Mythic Plus mechanics or skipping raid mechanics. Because I remember in Castle Nathria, there was a WeakAura for doing some mechanic. I can't remember. And Blizzard had to actually block the API because it was like too good. Was it Castle Nathria? It was one of them. It was a Shadowlands dungeon, I think. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, it trivialized the whole mechanic because it was like a puzzle-ish kind of mechanic. You had to sort of work something out. And the add-on, the WeakAura, made it so you didn't have to do the mechanic, which is not. So then it's like Blizzard developers spent time making this mechanic, and then the add-on was like, nah, you don't need to do that mechanic. It was an annoying mechanic, so, you know. But it is what it is, so.
Figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah, definitely a change that I did not see, but again, it's you can see right now, you know, in this sort of new era of World of Warcraft, there's a lot of revolution happening in terms of their philosophies and the way that the game is going to be presented and its future, and there's a lot of groundwork being laid for whatever this next, you know, decade or two or however many is going to look like, and it kind of starts with stuff like this. So it's really exciting to see how they're thinking and to see some of these things unleashed on us. So that's all of what's coming in 11.1.7, that's a shitload of content. It seems like, or a lot of real important changes for a little sub patch.
Is there a launch day for it?
I don't know that we have a launch date for it yet. Somebody can yell at me if I'm wrong. But it's gotta be in the next month, I would think. It can't be too like 8-week cycles, right? So it's gotta be coming soon. Meanwhile, back here in 11.1.5, Ian Hazakostas apologized in another interview for how the rollout of this sub patch has been. So at least they recognize that it's been rough with bugs and the gated content and all that kind of stuff. Your horrific visions start this week, Mr. Corden. So
sweet.
You're gonna have to give us the review on those. I'll jump into them too, so I will as well. But they're more your content than mine, so we'll have to get a review on those next time.
Yeah, I mean, about that, I was kind of excited for them, but the rewards are kind of lame.
Oh.
I was like, the rewards just aren't. They're kind of weak. So I was kind of like, oh man, I was expecting more from this. It's just a bunch of recolors, which I think is a waste.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's kind of par for the course, I think, on a lot of these things these days. But we'll check them out. We'll give you folks the review, and then the last piece on our current timeline. Did you buy anything with your dinars yet? Because we got our first 3 if you killed 4 raid bosses, and I know I did. But did you get a chance to do that yet?
I did. I bought the Eye of Kazan.
There it is.
Which was the last item I needed. before for the raid, and now we don't raid anymore. So actually, it was pointless me getting it because it'll be useless the next season. Nah, I'm gonna try and I think I'm gonna try and push to a 3,000 Mythic Plus rating. So that'll come in handy.
There you go.
But yeah, I spent my dinars. Did
Nice.
you buy anything nice?
I got myself a nice weapon upgrade. Yes,
Yeah,
I think thanks to it must be thanks to Delves, but I got a whatever 4 or 6, 6 to 8 hero track. So it's heroic level. I think it was one of Galliwix's weapons, and got it like way upgraded for me. So that was a nice pickup. And then in my vault, I got one of the top 2 trinkets for me, and so this was a good week. I got some good gear this week, so it's nice to be able to just shred some delves and get some achievements, and kind of go through that and bang away. So the dinars, I know there was a lot of heartburn over it, but so far I don't have any complaints.
Why were people upset about that? I'm still not entirely sure.
Oh, it seemed like because of how many you got, how you got them, and then what you could spend them on. And I think the having to have killed, especially in Mythic, having to have killed a boss before you could have access to its loot table was one of the biggest problems. And it's not everything. Not everything is available. They actually, Warcraft put up a post listing all of the stuff that's available. So it's not every single thing, I don't think, from every single boss. But there's a lot of the major stuff, the big stuff that's on top of people's lists. So, for myself, I'm not in Mythic, so I don't have access. All that stuff is all red in the menu for me. But, I'm still able to get some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, why do people want free Mythic track loot? It's like, that's supposed to be aspirational. It's supposed to be like reserved for people who actually really, really push themselves to raid at that level. Like, I'm someone who raids heroic, and it's like, I'd love to have Mythic loot to make that easier, but at the same time, it's like, I haven't earned that loot.
I think that's the thing, is it's more about the achievement of, ahead of the curve, or, you cleared Mythic or whatever it was, and sometimes everybody on your team getting that one piece of gear that's super good kind of helps put you over the hump that you're stuck at. And I think that's the thing, is they're trying to prevent what happened to my team, unfortunately, too often at the end of our lifespan, was that we just could not get over certain humps in our progression track. And not having access to new gear or higher level gear or whatever it was, when everybody's playing to the best of their ability, whatever that ability might be, that's something like this, I think, is helpful. Or it can be.
The thing is, right, they actually included something like that in this patch. Like the renown track for Galliwix's dungeon gives you plus 5% damage every, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 levels. I can't remember exactly how much, but you end up with like plus 20% damage in that raid, which is kind of like the stacking buff you used to get from Lich King's dungeon, right? Yeah. So I think they're going to do that every season, though, where it's like over the course of the season, your whole raid will have 20% more damage.
And
healing,
like that.
which is really helpful.
That's bigger. I think that's a bigger help, if you ask me. But
it is. Yeah, and this is like, I think if Blizzard was like, oh yeah, okay, you can have free Mythic track loot, I think it's like, it's a slippery slope towards just being able to log on and get a full set of gear and then just logging out.
Yeah.
There's a meme from the Diablo subreddit where it's like, because everyone always complains about Diablo 24/7, including myself, and it was just like, oh, okay guys, I've fixed Diablo, and it's like an MS Paint drawing of like a single room with all the vendors, and then there's like a door which instantly goes to the dungeon, and there's just like a button where you get the loot, and you get all the instant loot, and that's it. That's the whole game.
Nice.
It's like
perfect.
So
problem solved.
Yeah, I think Blizzard needs to be careful listening to the community too much about certain things, but
yeah, and I don't think that they bent too much. I think the biggest change that they made was this first week, giving you the ability pretty easily to get that first 3 those first 3 dinars so you could buy a piece of gear, and then it's 1 a week now after it. So I thought that was fine. I'm like, okay, you know what? Got my piece, whatever. But even then, we know it's a vocal minority that's really going apeshit about this dinar problem. I haven't heard anybody talk about it. I haven't seen anybody really talk about it. It's mostly this kind of forum stuff and a certain high-level player that's like, about it. But yeah, I think it's fine. Rolled out fine. I got my weapon. And, maybe we'll see what other kind of stuff we got. But that's where we are at the moment with our current patch. Looking ahead some more, we had just recently a presentation by Blizzard at PAX East, which happened on May 9th. And one of the things that they did confirm and announce is that Legion Remix is indeed going to be a thing. And Jez, I know you're excited about this because if I recall, you missed Legion.
I did. I completely missed Legion. I quit the game. When did I quit the game? I quit the game at the end of Mr. Pandaria, so I missed all of Warlords of Draenor.
Oh.
And then I came back a bit for Warlords of Draenor, but I hated it. I was like, this is lame. I hate time traveling, all that bullshit. I hate it. Why is I love Gul'dan, but like, why he should be dead? Like, make new characters. I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like the premise. I immediately ignored Legion because I just thought Blizzard had completely gone off the rails. But then, like, at some point, someone was like, no, actually, it's really good, and I was like, oh, shit. This is just so typical that I play the bad expansion and skip the good one. So I did come back right at the end of Legion, but it was just, too late. I didn't really raid or do anything, I missed the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to this, to experience it again. Maybe get some of the transmogs that were exclusive to that expansion, like the stuff from the Mage Tower. I presume they're going to bring back the Mage Tower with like a new skin or something, with recolors rather. I don't think they'll let you get the exact same things because that's sort of like it's like a status symbol of people who did it at the time.
Big time.
But I'm assuming there'll be recolors, like when they brought it back the first time with the Fel Druid they added. So, yeah, looking forward to it a lot. Personally.
Yeah, they said that they'll have some new systems for it. Obviously remakes, they're going to change some things up. But, it's one of the top expansions of all time for a reason. There was a lot going on, great story, a lot of cool stuff going on. So, I know people were excited about that. And then, surprise, surprise, they announced the existence or future existence of a mysterious new game mode that they said almost nothing about, other than it wouldn't be a battle royale like Plunderstorm, and then it would have some kind of scary story, spooky vibe to it. And the slide that they showed was Duskwood as sort of maybe a mood setter. Any idea what that could possibly entail?
I have literally no idea what that could be.
Me either.
I mean, I don't know. I suppose, like, could it be something like, I don't know, Left 4 Dead? Wait, maybe there's just like shitloads of zombies in Duskwood, and you and a team of people have to sort of fight through the zombies. Or something.
There you go.
I don't know. Something like that.
It's as good an explanation as any. I have nothing.
Survival horror. Duskwood. Maybe you're trapped in Duskwood at night and you have to survive. I don't know. I
have no idea. Begin to tell you.
Yeah.
So
interesting though. Intriguing.
Yeah. So that's coming on the horizon. No release date for Legion Remix, and they had nothing else about whatever this surprise mode is. So we're gonna keep an eye out for that. A couple more items real quick before we get to our Q&A. One, we had our May trading post. We haven't talked about that at all. I haven't given any grades, but there are 2 things that I want to give a grade to in particular. One is the Spring Harvest Hog, which is a giant hedgehog-looking thing with a bunch of fruits and things on its back, and it's a leaf for a saddle.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
I kind of like that.
Oh my God. If you've seen this thing when it rears up on its hind legs, I went into the menu to go look and see this thing when I was at the actual vendor, and it scared the piss out of me. I'm like, there's 0% chance I'm ever going to buy that world. Meanwhile, we had the brown furred spiky Bakar.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
The caveat to this is that while I love the Bakar, I love these things, is this like, you know, this dog wolf looking fucker, this thing, when I sit on it, my legs look terrible because I'm like all akimbo, like I'm doing some weird half yoga squat thing. It doesn't look good when I sit on it, but the model for it is fucking amazing. Otherwise, the other big thing about this, which I will give,
That's what I'm talking about. That's why he's the MVP. That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
as a child of the 80s, raised in the 90s, anything that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed gets my ever and undying love. So this month they have the vigilante masks in the 4 turtle colors. They have the corresponding weapons for each of the turtles, including sais and nunchucks and katanas. And there's even a shell piece that you can get on your back. So if you want to go out and live your Ninja Turtle fantasy in World of Warcraft, now is the time. And it's pretty fucking cool. So I applaud them for that. Otherwise, they got a bunch of the, you know, standard stuff nowadays with the leg wraps, and you know, there's if you want a fox sort of cape with a hood that looks like a fox head, and a raccoon version of that as well. Those are there.
I mean, it's all right. Like,
They're okay. The tails kind of freak me out. It's a little too furry-esque. I'm not kink shaming. I'm just saying it's not quite my vibe. But overall, a decent May trading post, if that is your vibe. Last but not least, before we get to our Q&A, Jez, it is the 20th anniversary of the Leroy Jenkins video from May 11th, 2005, posted on warcraftmovies.com. The legendary Leroy Jenkins, many times parodied, probably the biggest and most famous shot that Warcraft had in pop culture, next to South Park, which I think is the second. I think this is the first. I wasn't playing then. I didn't come in until 2 years later. What was it like, Jez, as somebody who was there and saw this out in the wild in real time? What was this experience like?
Oh, it was incredible, man. It was absolutely incredible. It really sort of like, it came along at exactly the right time, in the right place, to sort of encapsulate everything that is World of Warcraft at the time. You know, it was really a stunning moment in history. I kind of feel like. It was the first real video meme that I ever saw, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone was sharing it like on the, you know, between each other. And obviously Warcraft videos or movies or whatever it's called back then was like a really big deal. Like I had some front page videos on Warcraft movies. I had a video called The Most Boring PvP Video of All Time.
Oh.
And it's me healing as a paladin.
Look at you.
It was fun. You know, in fact, it's still up there. Yeah,
it's still there
in PvP. Yeah, the most boring PvP video of all time.
Nice.
By me.
Go check that out.
When I was 18 years old. Although it says the video is unavailable, so I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's you can access it anymore. Premium US server. Maybe
version.
I can download it. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna try and get it. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get it.
Well, you got to remember, 2005. YouTube was in its baby infancy. I mean, I think it was a few months old when this thing hit, and so it's like the timing and collision of, you know, the rise of YouTube, and like I said, like these kinds of meme videos and stuff. I knew Leroy Jenkins before I even played Warcraft. I don't even know how. I don't even know where I saw it for the first time. But like everybody knew about some dumbass who they were plotting and, you know, figuring out this difficult thing that they had to do, and then this asshole just goes running off and screws the whole thing up for everybody. Like,
Brilliant.
As everybody had seen that somehow, I swear. So there you go.
It was just amazing.
20 years. Happy 20th. And you can still see Leroy in game when we do our anniversary events and stuff. He's still out there, and he's got his chicken. So happy anniversary to Leroy and the individual that played him. Hope you're enjoying that anniversary as well. And now, Jez, it's time for everybody's favorite segment. Q&A. Yeah, Q&A. This question this week kind of ties into one of the previous announcements. This comes from Ali on Discord. Blizzard has their nifty side piece in WoW that has given us Plunderstorm twice, Pandaria Remix, and possibly some Legion event down the road, which we now know. What other fun events would you like to see Blizzard give us? Des, I'll go to you.
Fun events in WoW. I don't know. A lot of things that I think of, like, the engine wouldn't support. Like, for example, an event that encourages you to raid other cities.
Oh.
But whenever you raid other cities in this game, it's just lag.com, right? Just so laggy. Doesn't work right. The game breaks. Yeah, all that shit. So, yeah, I like the idea of it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I know that there is a way to do this. I'm just confident, just blindly confident that there's a way to do this. But I would love, because it's a moment in time right now as well. I would love some version of a Warcraft Doom, where it's just first person, and this is the warrior mentality, I know, but like a first person game where I am just going ape shit and just running through a zone or a raid or a dungeon or a city or something, and just going aggro and blowing stuff up or chopping dudes up or, you know, meleeing them to death. You know, whatever it is, like, I would love some version of the game, because we have, you know, the ability to go first person, but something that's, you know, maybe more PvE oriented, less PvP, where you're just first person wrecking house, just ripping and tearing. That would be my game mode. That's what I would want.
That'd be cool. Maybe like an Overwatch mode where you have to sort of someone becomes an overpowered tank, and it's sort of like they're the raid boss, kind of like in Overwatch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There it is. There it
cool.
is. All right. I think we've done enough damage for one episode. For those who don't already know, where can the good people find you out on the internet, Jez?
You can find me at jezcorden.com. That's where all of my socials live. So Twitter, Blue Sky, other podcast places, windowscentral.com, all that good stuff.
There he is.
Oh.
And my thanks to all of you for listening. And remember, you can always follow me and this show on Twitter at Berzerker Rage and Unshackled_Fury, on Blue Sky at Berzerker and Unshackled Fury, as well as on Twitch at Unshackled Fury and Real Berzerker. And I swear one day we'll do another stream. You can also join our Discord, links for which are in the profile of the show on Twitter and on our website, unshackledfury.com. Feel free to contact the show with your questions, comments, or otherwise through any of those resources, or email us at unshackledfuryshow@gmail.com. And you can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. So once again, thank you for listening. Remember to keep your swords wet and your banners high, and we'll see you next time. Farewell.